Yeah. So let's take a look at this transcendental knowledge. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ivam Vishvasvate Yogam Pruktavanam Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manurikshvakave Bravet. The personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. So did we get that right? Yeah. You can close the door, bro? Yeah. So the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan. And Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. So the purport, herein we find the history of the Bhagavad-Gita traced from a remote time when it was delivered to the royal order of all planets, beginning from the sun planet. So actually I've talked about this in a separate video where I talk about the sun god. There I also line up how the sun dynasty is working. But we can repeat it here. So the idea is that Krishna he's giving the Bhakti Yoga instruction to Vivasvan, the sun god, and actually already on the sun god planet they are worshipping the Lord there, Narayan. By the grace of Krishna, they are getting all information how to do the worship, how to act as devotees, and then Vivasvan he's instructing all this transcendental knowledge to Manu, which is his son. Yeah. So what's the so I can write this here. See. So what is the name of? So see, you start with Krishna. Yeah, Krishna, Vishnu. Yeah, and then under there. How is this? Just have to get this right. Yeah. So under Krishna then comes Vivasvan, sun god. Yeah. And then under Vivasvan. It comes Vaivasvata, Manu. See the name Vaivasvata, it means in itself, this is the son of Vivasvan. And now, Manu, we're still not on Earth planet, okay? We're still not on Earth planet. We'll get it very soon, because Vaivasvata Manu, he's the Manu. So that means he's the forefather of humans, man. Yeah. That's why you have this name Manu. Man is coming from Manu. So the first, king. He's the first king installed on the planet Earth. That's Ikshvaku. Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to know who was the first king on this planet Earth, that's the one. And then Ikshvaku, he has a whole line of people after him. So this is this whole dynasty, continuation of the royal Sun dynasty. It's called Surya Vamsha. Yeah. So which is the deity? Which is the family deity? Or the yeah, you can say family deity. of the dynasty. It's Surya Narayana. Yeah. Okay, so now we got that in place, so we can go on and take a look at the next part of the purport here. The kings of all planets are especially meant for the protection of the inhabitants, and therefore the royal order should understand the science of Bhagavad-Gita. Yeah. In order to be able to rule the citizens and protect them from material bondage to lust. Yeah. So human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge in eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged to impart this lesson to the citizens by education, culture, and devotion. He said if you have devotion first, you can actually get all the other things automatically as a natural byproduct. Because if one has love for Krishna, then one also wants to learn how to please Krishna the best way, and thus you will have the education and culture. In other words, the executive heads of all states are intended to spread the science of Krishna consciousness so that the people may take advantage of this great science and pursue a successful path, utilizing the opportunity of the human form of life. So now, Prabhupada says, we are in the millennium here, where we have a manu. So each time period has a manu. It's a chain of manus, just like you have a chain of gurus. There's also something called a regime or a reign of manus going on. And each manu is lasting for something like more than 300 million years. Each manu. So the manus are not on the Earth planet; they are in Ramyaka Varsha. Yeah. So I'll try and explain this. Well, actually, I'll do it later after this. In this millennium, the sun god is known as Vivasvan, the king of the sun, which is the origin of all planets within the solar system. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Yat Chakshuresha Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rashesha Tejyaha Yasagyaya Brahmativ Sambrita Kala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Let me worship, Lord Brahma said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda Krishna, is the original person under whose order the sun, which is the king of all planets, is assuming immense power and heat. The sun represents the eye of the Lord and traverses its orbit in obedience to his order. Yeah, so he's serving Krishna. The sun is rotating. He's the king of the planets, and the sun god, at present, of the name Vivasvan, rules the sun planet. So did you get that? At present. So that means we have a rotation of sun gods also. So they're called Adityas. So there is a rotation on them also, actually, who will rule the sun planet. But that's a different topic. Yeah. So which is controlling all other planets by supplying heat and light. He is rotating under the order of Krishna, and Lord Krishna originally made Vivasvan his first disciple to understand the science of Bhagavad-Gita. The Gita is not therefore a speculative treatise for the insignificant mundane scholar, but it is a standard book of knowledge coming down from time immemorial. And then in the Mahabharata we can trace out the history of Gita as follows. In the beginning of the millennium known as Treta Yuga, this science of the relationship with the Supreme was delivered by Vivasvan to Manu. Manu, being the father of mankind, gave it to his son Maharishi Iskcon. This we already learned from Krishna. The king of this earth planet and forefather of the Raghu dynasty, in which Lord Ramachandra appeared. Yes, so Lord Ramachandra is coming in that line. Yeah. And at present moment we have just passed through 5,000 years of the Kali Yuga, which lasts 432,000 years. Before that was Dvapara Yuga, and before that was Treta Yuga. So in that way, some 2,005 million years ago. No, 2,005,000 years ago. Manu spoke the Bhagavad-Gita to his disciple and son Maharishi Iskcon, the king of this planet Earth. Yeah. So the age of the current Manu is calculated to last some 305,300,000 years. So I was approximately right. I said over 300 million years for each Manu. Yeah. So of which 120,400,000 years have passed. So, accepting that before the birth of Manu, the Gita was spoken by the Lord to his disciple, the sun god Vivasan, a rough estimate is that the Gita was spoken at least 120,400,000 years ago. And in human society, it has been extant for 2 million years. It was re-spoken by the Lord again to Arjuna about 5,000 years ago. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at the next verse. You still there, Christopher Brewer? You like to read?
Yes, I just arrived again. I'm listening now.
I saw you were giving us chat message here. Good. So
yes.
You like to read verse 2?
Okay, I don't have the Gita in front of me. I'm on the train station. There's some noise.
Oh, so you don't remember?
Imam parampara praptam imam raja rishayo vidu sakalen neha mahatta yogo nashta parantapa.
Well, that's really good. You remember it by the heart.
Yeah, evam parampara prapta. I remember.
This is great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I can read the translation. Oh, you remember the translation also?
Oh yeah, I can. This supreme science was thus received through the chains of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it appears to be lost.
Very good. So then we have, a broken succession. So that's quite important then to get it, connected again. And since we are still in Dwapar Yuga here, then naturally Krishna would go to a Kshatriya. However, in Kali Yuga there is no Kshatriyas left. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he is again re-establishing the parampara, which was lost, then he's just giving it to everybody, really, no matter which caste they have. Because in Kali Yuga you can't really follow the castes so nicely. In Dwapar Yuga, in Treta Yuga, and in Satya Yuga, it was easy to follow this more, the classes of people. So it said, each time the Lord appears, He's doing that to re-establish, the spiritual knowledge. So the same thing happened actually when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 500-600 years ago. He also then re-established the Dharma. Yeah. So Prabhupada says in the purport here that the supreme science was just. He says it is clearly stated that the Gita was especially meant for the saintly kings, because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. So back in the day, to be a king, it was completely tied up with God. That was on the menu for the king. That was his job, to make sure that Dharma, the godly connection was there in the people. Yeah, certainly Bhagavad-Gita was never meant for the demonic persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. So on not only one occasion, Prabhupada was severely blasting the other translations of the Bhagavad-Gita, which some scholar may have done just to make a living. Yeah. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to re-establish the disciplic succession. 5,000 years ago, it was detected by the Lord Himself that the disciplic succession was broken, and therefore He declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at the present moment also there are so many editions of the Gita, especially in English, but almost all of them are not according to authorized disciplic succession. So we will read more about that later also. Krishna is saying, Evam parampara praptam imam raja shayo vidu. So this knowledge you can only get through the chain of disciplic succession. That means handed over from guru to disciple, and the disciple again become guru and give it to his disciple, and so on. In that way, the knowledge can be properly preserved. And back in the day, it was especially important for also keeping the Sanskrit intact. As we have the expression "lost in translation," there is even lost in scribing down, because back in the day there were scribes who wrote down, the Sanskrit scriptures, including Bhagavad-Gita. But they may have scribed a little wrong here and there, or skipped even verses, or even bigger parts. But if a book was
1666 without the rest, just Sarvadharma Paritraja, without the rest,
it would have sufficed. It would be enough. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, just abandon all varieties of religion and nothing else. It's like
the
Dharma of today.
Yeah, I mean the Lord has arranged in many ways. He arranged Upanishads also for that purpose. Upanishads are also very short and concise. Just you have a book of just 18 verses, like the Upanishad. So that can be easily memorized and kept going. But still, sometimes you want to have a little bit more knowledge. So in that way, Bhagavad-Gita is like, it's also said to be like an Upanishad. It's called Gita Upanishad. So that can also be memorized. In that way, it can be kept intact. But especially it's kept intact when you have a disciplic succession. So the two most well-kept books we have, what are those? They are the Bhagavad-Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, because both of them are very nicely delivered in the parampara, in the Vaishnava paramparas. So that's why they're so nicely kept, intact in their original form. Yeah. Okay, so I'll read on. Sevayam maya tedya yoga prukta puratanaha bhaktusis me saka cheti rasyam yadaduttamam. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So here it's said, this is rahasyam.
Turn the page, sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Now you get it. Yeah. So Prabhupada says there are two classes of men, namely the devotees and demons. So this quote Prabhupada is referring to is from the Purana, where it says, Vishnu Bhakta Smritu Daiva. Those who are devotees of Vishnu are known as Daivas, or devotees. Actually, the Daiva means also gods or demigods. And then the same verse goes to say that Asuras tat viparyayaha, that those who are against the devotees of Vishnu, they are known as demons. So this is a very simple definition of if you want to divide humanity into two parts, then you can take that those who are following Vishnu, they are devotees, and the other ones are demons. The Lord selected Arjuna. I'm reading on. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science, owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. And you know, of course, what is the reason? It's because of the demons will never agree to enroll as a disciple of a guru in the parampara, right? They will never do that. Because to do that, Krishna explains, is tatvidi pranipatana pariprashnana seva. One has to be humble, one has to ask a relevant question, and one has to do service. And the obstinate demons, they're never ready to do that. That's why they can never be in the disciplic succession.
They do it, but it's in a twisted sense that is focused on their own value of their own self.
Well, you have demons like Rahu, who was dressing out as one of the demigods, and he was sitting in the line of the demigods to get the nectar, of Ayurveda, of immortality. But he sat in between the sun god and the moon god. Yeah. And they detected it, so they told, Vishnu. At that time, Vishnu had this incarnation as Mohini Murti. She actually had fooled the demons to sit in the line and receive they didn't receive any nectar, actually. It was only the demigods who got the nectar of immortality. But Rahu, he was smart, so he dressed out like a demigod and sat amongst the demigods. But there are very few, demons like that, you can say. But yeah, there may be some demons.
Because the demonic tendency is also to do tapasya, but it's for personal growth, not atma growth.
Yeah, so they may also enroll under a guru and be humble. They may do seva like that and ask a relevant question. It's true, but they will not do that. They will,
the same as we're doing exactly, but not for godly person.
That's true, but they won't do that in the Vaishnava line. That's what I meant. But of course, there are always exceptions. They may do. So, but in any way, they get purified then. They get purified. Because it's called Bhakti Unmukha Sukriti. If you just lend an ear to hear from Bhagavad-Gita. So all of you are listening, you're getting blessed by Bhagavad-Gita itself.
And even just listening attentively to anyone will give you a little bhakti point.
Yeah, sometimes you can even get more. I don't know if such a thing exists, actually, bhakti points. But anyway, it gives a clear idea about the situation. Whatever little you do, you get some bhakti points. Yeah, and then you collect, and then at the end of your life, will come a Vaikuntha airplane and pick you up. Yeah. Going back to eternal abode.
You said also there are mercy cases, in which case they're referred to as not having enough bhakti points usually for bhakti, but they're just picked up, along the way.
Yeah, it's like if you follow Srila Prabhupada, he will let you in the back door. Yeah. Yeah, because they asked him,
everything available.
There is this famous story. They were asking Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, something like, you have to be fully, Krishna conscious to get back to God, or something like this. And then the devotees became really, they became like, looked very worried. And then Prabhupada said, okay, he said like 90%. And then he started going, and still they were worried. And then Prabhupada turned around and said, okay, 80%. And still they were kind of, not so happy. So he kept walking, and then finally Prabhupada turned for the last time and said, 70% Krishna conscious. You will go back to God. Something like that.
I thought, it's a funny story. He just keeps going down and down. And down.
No, I didn't hear any version going down below 70%.
Oh, really? Well, maybe it was I get into the spirit of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which like 1% is so cheap.
I mean, if you're with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you can just be a dog and be in his lila, and be liberated.
And be completely, elevated.
When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dancing through the Jarikanda forest, you had, the lions and the elephants became ecstatic and started embracing each other.
Everyone's dancing and chanting. So wonderful.
Yeah. So now we'll deal a little bit with Arjuna's doubts. So you see, now Arjuna is playing the role of us who are brainwashed by temporary, logical, view of the world. So he says, Arjuna uvacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvataha katam etat vijnaniyam tvamadav proktavaniti. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivasvan is senior by birth to you. So he's saying, hey, Vivasvan is older than you, Krishna. How could you have instructed him? Yeah? How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed the science to him? So you see, Arjuna is still not shaken off his Sakya Bhava with Krishna. He still views Krishna as his friend. Although he has accepted that he is his disciple. So Krishna is later he has to give him some more heavy medicine, you can say. So later on, Krishna will show his universal form. And then Arjuna cannot say nothing, in regards to doubting Krishna's position as Bhagavan. Yeah?
Yeah, all doubts are removed.
Exactly. So purport, Arjuna is an accepted devotee of the Lord. So how could he not believe Krishna's words? The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or for demons who do not like the idea that Krishna should be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, so he's inquiring, Huh?
I think it depends on how much aware is Arjuna of the play that is going on. Because surely he's asking for his own self, He's not like completely transcendental, no, everything is just an act to give. But he's actually like super soul is in his heart and instructing him.
Yeah, but still, Prabhupada is reiterating the point in the very end of his purport. I'll read it. He says, a devotee of Krishna like Arjuna is undoubtedly above any misunderstanding of the transcendental position of Krishna. Arjuna's putting this question before the Lord is simply an attempt by the devotee to defy the atheistic attitude of persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being, subject to the modes of material nature. So you have to apply the Achintya Bheda Tattva here. So this is the thing, when anything becomes too difficult to understand for us, we just apply the Achintya Bheda Tattva. Simultaneous oneness and difference.
A little bit from Guru and stuff, yeah.
What?
No, we're allowed to also inquire, I guess, submissively.
Yeah, of course. Everything can be, explained. But in case you don't have Guru there, you just apply Achintya Bheda Tattva. It's simultaneously oneness and difference. Because another place in Bhagavad-Gita, then Prabhupada is saying that Arjuna is bewildered by the material modes of nature. He is material attached and so on. So you cannot be both things at the same time. Or can you? Well, you can, if you're in the Lord's Leela.
Even consciously, I bet you can have both rasas.
Probably. So in one sense, Arjuna is himself exemplifying Achintya Bheda Tattva. In one sense, he's bewildered, by the energy of the Lord. In another sense, he knows everything. So yeah.
I guess also he's even described as what is it? He's like Narayana.
Yeah, he appeared previously to his appearance in Dvapara Yuga with Krishna. Is explained in Mahabharata. He was there was two rishi, two rishis, the twins called Narayan Rishi. Yeah.
Yes, the Bhagavatam verse.
Yeah,
yes,
so they were up in the Himalayas in Badarikashram, on top of the Himalayas, and they did tapasya for so many years, for hundreds of years. And by that tapasya, according to Mahabharata, they became so great that next life they became Krishna and Arjuna.
That's so wonderful.
So this is, of course, Krishna's pastime, just to bewilder, people who doesn't have enough knowledge. They will think, Krishna was just an ordinary person. They will think Krishna just was a very high person, not ordinary, of course, but he did a lot of tapasya and he became godly. But actually, this is part of Krishna's pastime, to appear as Narayan Rishi and do all this tapasya. And Arjuna is always following it together with Krishna. Yeah?
No, I'm just trying to remember the verse. It's from Bhagavatam, where it's talking about the Rishi and Narayan and Saraswati.
Yeah, this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it said, Narayanam namaskritam, naram cheva naruttamam. So there you have naram cheva naruttamam. Narayanam namaskritam naram. So we have Nara and Narayan. So Nara is Arjuna, okay? He's the Nara, he's the human, and Narayan is, of course, Krishna. Yep? So Nara and Narayan Rishi. That's Arjuna and Krishna. Yeah. So, in any case, we just go on. You like to read the next verse, Prabhu?
Sure. Arjuna vacha Aparam bhavato janma, param janma vivas.
Oh, sorry, that was, you should have number 5. Sorry.
Okay. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Bahuni Medyatitani Janmani Tva Charjuna and Tani Aham Veda Sarvani Natvam Veta Parantapa.
You can just read the translation. Yeah.
The personality of Godhead said, many, many births, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy.
Yes. So that just shows that Krishna is always above the Maya Shakti. Because this forgetfulness is coming by the influence of the material energy. Yeah. You'd like to read the purport?
In the Brahma Samhita 533, we have information of many, many incarnations of the Lord. It is stated there, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Antarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Nava Yauvanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhaktau Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, without beginning. Although expanded into unlimited forms, he is still the same original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually understood by the...
Are usually not understood. Are usually not
So what?
understood.
Usually... Wait. They are usually understood.
Oh, sorry. In my... this is amazing. Because I was just copy-pasting this now from the Veda base online. And here they are writing, all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually not understood by even the best Vedic scholars.
Oh, here it says are usually understood by...
Yeah, I can see that also. So this is...
always manifest
yeah.
pure unalloyed devotees.
Yeah, so they have updated that. So according to the editors, there was a typo in the old version. Yeah.
I guess they're trying to glorify the devotee even more with that edit.
No, but it's actually
And,
true.
Chastise the scholars a little bit more.
Yeah, no, but actually, I know this verse. Because it says actually there, Vedeshu Durlabam.
Yeah.
It means,
It's also something Krishna also says, right? He says something like that. He's not known by the...
Yeah. So to add not there is actually the right verse, because Prabhupada has translated this verse another place, and it means that actually Vedeshu Durlabam. It says for those who are into the Vedas is Durlaba, is difficult.
Yeah, but I think actually both can work, because if they're the best Vedic scholars, then if they understand Krishna, they must be devotees, and if they're scholars, then it can be also the best.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You can reconcile it in any case. Yeah. Okay, very good. So let's see.
Should I just continue?
Yeah. Please continue.
It's also stated in Brahma Samhita 539, Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyemena Sishtam Nanavataram Akaro Duvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Parma Pumam Yo. Can you turn the page?
Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Ram, Nrsimha, and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. In the Vedas also, it is stated that the Lord, although one without a second, manifests himself in innumerable forms. He's like the Vaidurya stone, which changes color, yet still remains one. All those multiforms are understood by the pure unalloyed devotees,
But not by simple study of the Vedas. Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhaktal.
Yeah, there you are. So we can stop there. Stop there. Yeah. Yeah. So there Prabhupada is qualifying. He says not by a simple study of the Vedas. Yeah. You need to have more than just study. It has to be service to the Guru. It has to be connected in the proper line, like that. Then we can talk. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. So then Prabhupada writes that devotees like Arjuna are constant companions of the Lord, and whenever the Lord incarnates, the associate devotees also incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Yeah. Yes, in that way they are always following. Yeah. So we go to the next verse, verse 6. Adyopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim svamadhishtaya sambhavami atmamayaya. Yeah. So although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, by my internal energy I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Yuge is not here. What do you mean Yuge?
I know.
That's the next verse, right?
Oh yeah.
No, wait, it's not also there. It's in the 8th one. Yeah, in number 8, Sambhavami Yuge. Yeah. Yeah. So when there is a repetition like that, it means one after the other. Yeah. It means yuga after yuga is coming. So it's the same thing as to say here, but he's just not saying Well, actually, he says in every millennium. How do you say?
Does it mean millennium here as in 1,000 years? Or is it millennium as in a yuga?
Well, millennium can mean two things. It can mean just a yuga, or usually it means a yuga cycle.
Because the millennium is like 1,000 years.
Well, we don't talk about that in this connection. Yeah, you can say it's not used in that sense here. It's used okay.
It's more like an age.
Yeah, an age. But if you want to use it in that sense, then I didn't know that actually, but it's true. I remember now. Millennium means every 1,000 years, right?
Yes.
So in that way, it would mean 1,000 years, or 1,000 yuga cycles of Lord Brahma, which is one day of Brahma. That's also called a millennium. So you have 1,000 yuga cycles. That should fit the word, right? 1,000 yuga cycles, a millennium.
Not exactly. That would be.
So anyway,
well, I don't know. I can look it up.
In that way, it's used at least in Bhagavad-Gita. When you have Prabhupada says for every millennium, it says that Krishna is coming once in a millennium. So that means once in 1,000 yuga cycles, which is once in the day of Brahma.
But when you say that in English he comes every millennium, that means he would come every 1,000 years.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that in the Bhagavad-Gita.
No, and it's neither. He comes personally not every 1,000 yugas either.
Well, he does. Not 1,000 yugas. We talk about 1,000 yuga cycles.
Oh, I thought it was. But I thought it was more often. I thought he came every yuga cycle.
Well, he comes in his expansion. So I can write it here. We can get it proper.
Oh, not as Krishna or Govinda, Shyamasundar?
Just look here. So he comes as Swayam Bhagavan. Only once in a day of Brahma. So that is 1,000 yuga cycles. Yeah. So in that way, once in a day of 1,000 yuga cycles. In our yeah, so that equals a millennium here. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's not very often.
It's not very often. But this is a Swayam Bhagavan. Swayam Bhagavan, it means as Krishna himself in person.
Yeah. Shyamasundar or Govinda.
Yeah. So otherwise, Yeah.
That's so rare.
It's very rare.
How are we so blessed
Yeah.
to have him a couple thousand years ago?
Yeah. So in that way, otherwise he comes in his expansion. So in that way he comes, you can say, indirectly. But I wouldn't use the word indirectly, because it said that he is actually there directly, but still it's an expansion. It's a difference between an expansion and the person himself, right?
Well, sometimes it is. With Krishna, actually, it's not.
Yeah, because it's absolute. So in that way, go figure. You have to again think Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. So you can say it's all one, but still it's a difference, and because there still is a difference, there'll be a great difference also. It's not just small difference. So it said, when you chant Hare Krishna mantra, there's a special potency in the Krishna name. Yeah. It's said it's primary and secondary names. You can chant, more primary names. It's just to chant Allah or God, more generic names. Yeah. He's the biggest. Allah or Brahma or like that. Brahman, it means like the all-encompassing one. Or Yahuwah, Yahweh, the great one. But when you say Krishna, it's specific to a Leela, right? The word Krishna is connected to a specific rasa, where he is somebody's friend, somebody's lover, somebody's child, right? So in that way, it's baked in with more emotions and power there. It's more bhakti.
I'm guessing there are way more about incarnations than just, there are probably countless, like innumerable
exactly.
incarnations.
But for bhakti points, since you talked about that in the beginning, to get more bhakti points, we're chanting the more confidential names of Krishna. You can chant Govinda also. Other names, very like private names of Krishna. Achyuta, Ananta, Damodara, Govinda, Shyama, Sundar, all these nice names. They are primary names. Yeah, I can write that here. Primary and secondary.
Well, primary is just usually just Krishna, isn't it?
Yeah. So primary will then be, this,
Vasudeva?
Vasudeva, yeah. It's a long A, Vasudeva, Krishna, of course. Damodara, Shyama, Sundara, etc. Yeah. And secondary names, it will be, Bhagavan, Allah, Java, Ishvara, yeah. Like this more, it's more like, it commands, huh? Yeah, maybe Janardhan also, yeah, maybe these kind of names, they command, a lot of respect and awe and reverence, It's like when you say these names, you better watch what you're doing, right? But when you say Vasudeva, Krishna, Damodar, Shyama, Sundar, you're not nervous. You're not watching what you're doing. It's sweet. These names are names are addressed to a friend. A lover, etc. Yeah. So in that way, they're much higher, And bhakti points are really, you are scoring all the bhakti points with these names. The other names, yeah?
I don't know. It's difficult to actually, it's completely unique, this relationship you have with Krishna. Even as, when Krishna is, maybe not Ishvara, Parama Ishvara, but I don't know, it's maybe too specific on that personal thing.
Yeah, so anyway, we can read on. Prabhupada says the Lord has spoken about the peculiarity of his birth. Although he may appear like an ordinary person, he remembers everything of his many, many past births. Prabhupada writes births in brackets. I mean, what do you call them? Brackets? Yeah.
Quotation marks.
Quotation marks, yeah, thank you. Because, of course, he doesn't take birth. It's just a role he's playing. Whereas a common man cannot remember what he has done even a few hours before. So now my question to you, what did we do a few hours before today?
Well, prasadam and kirtan, we're in the temple enjoying, But exactly at this point of time, the day before, I cannot be able.
No. And the reason for that is because Krishna is taking away our memory. Yeah. He's giving memory and he's taking away. Yeah. So there is no need to worry about this because Krishna says that what is worth remembering is him and his holy name. So
yes.
now when we have been chanting so much, at least we remember his name, right?
Yeah.
And then we're okay. So Prabhupada says, if someone is asked what he did exactly at the same time one day earlier, it would be very difficult for a common man to answer immediately. He would surely have to dredge his memory to recall what he was doing exactly at the same time one day before. And yet, men often dare to claim to be God or Krishna. One should not be misled by such meaningless claims. Well, I agree about that. And then again, the Lord explains his prakriti or his form. Prakriti means nature as well as swarup or one's own form. The Lord says that he appears in his own body. He does not change his body as the common living entity changes from one body to another. The conditioned soul may have one kind of body in the present birth, but he has a different body in the next birth. Yeah, so that is very clear. And Krishna is not like that when he comes. Even when he comes as an incarnation, it said. Say he comes as in Nrishingadev, half man, half lion. This form of his is also eternal. Okay? Is also eternal. But still there's a difference between the, you can say, OG form and the expansions. Yep. The original form is Krishna. Yeah.
Oh, and also I have some more doubts about the translation here because I'm reading the word for word about the 4:6, and the translation says, "I appear in every millennium," but in the word for word, there's nothing about millennium. There's nothing about how the size of time frame is.
Yeah, the thing is that very often Prabhupada he's translating according to what Krishna also has said before. Because Sanskrit is working like that you take some clues from what was there before, and in order to have a meaningful English sentence, sometimes you need to be a little smart to make the translation. You understand what I'm saying? You may not have all the information in the Sanskrit word you have now, in the Sanskrit text of this verse, but before Krishna said a few things, and the implication is what is actually appearing here. So I will go through it and I'll see.
But sometimes he also said, that's when he describes his activities. He says millennium after millennium. Yeah.
So in that way he says millennium later, right? He does. Yeah.
But is it, still, maybe it's not so clear how often he incarnates. Maybe it's supposed to be a little secret and a little difficult to...
Because if you look in the Sanskrit of it's verse 6 you're talking about, right?
Yes, this is where the translation is. I think it's not the word for word. It doesn't exactly correspond with the translation.
Yeah, I know.
It seems like the translation has been adapted to convey,
That's the point. That's the point. Because otherwise it would be kind of sparse, what you are being told there. He says, that I'm born without deterioration. So I'm coming in my own transcendental form. I incarnate, by my internal energy. He doesn't say millennium, but it kind of... Yeah, I think it's nice that Prabhupada is fleshing out a little bit.
Maybe Krishna is putting more emphasis that his form is eternal,
yeah.
Transcendental, eternal.
Yeah. So,
it's not so much about in this verse.
So, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really change the meaning. It's just that Prabhupada is putting that there, so it kind of makes more sense immediately.
It changes the meaning a little bit because it kind of gives us an indication how often we're going to have darshan on this planet.
Certainly does. Yeah. So anyway, let's go on. We can take the next. You can look at the next text. You like to read text 7?
Yes, of course. You need to flip the page. No, wait, I have it.
I flipped the page for you. Now it is there.
Didn't you? Okay. Yada dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhuyatyanam adharmasya tadatmanam shami aham.
That is Srijami.
Srijami.
Yeah.
Srijami. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself.
Yeah. Yeah, you like to read it? Yeah.
Of course, the word Srijami is significant here. Srijami cannot be used in the sense of creation because according to the previous verse, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body, since all the forms are eternally existent. Therefore, Srijami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is. Although the Lord appears on schedule, namely at the end of the Dharma Yuga of the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu in one day of Dhamma, he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations, because he is completely free to act in many ways at his will.
Yeah, we stop there.
Yeah.
So the thing is that here Prabhupada is giving this essential information about the Lord's schedule. Yep. So he's coming at the end of Dwapar Yuga of the 28th millennium of 7th Manu in one day of Brahma. So let's just line this up.
He also immediately dismisses this calendar.
Yeah, he can come whenever he like. It's true.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hear about some great saint in Vrindavan that they saw Krishna, But still, officially he comes and he's doing his full lila, so it's still quite significant. Because we never hear that he's doing a full-fledged lila, at unannounced times. Like in these instances, he's coming and, all the demigods they are there taking part. They take incarnations as his family members and so on, So they're all lined up, to take part. It's like a big, theater play with thousands of people. So in that way, it's very significant, this. So according to our Gaudiya Vaishnava, Acharyas, yeah?
Sorry.
Yeah, just what you say?
No, I mean, even when, revealing himself to a specific person, all the demigods and everything are included in this kind of encounter also, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're also coming and helping him. Yeah. If that's what you meant.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just so mysterious all around. It's like so unpredictable and everything. So.
Yeah. So let's take a look at one day of Brahma. Yeah. That's the last thing Prabhupada says. So how much is one day of Brahma? That is 1,000 yuga cycles. And that is the same as how many years? I think it's one yuga cycle. Yeah, one yuga cycle. Okay, say it's one yuga cycle. One cycle of 4,320,000 years. Yeah, that's one yuga cycle. Like that, and then you have that times 1,000. Yeah.
And the yuga cycle is half of it's one day, and the night is the same. Is it like such?
Yeah, and you also have the night there. That's true also.
Then must multiply by another 2 then.
Yeah, but just not to explode our brain, we just keep with this. At least we get the idea that it's a lot of years.
We need to miscalculate it to make another twice as long.
Yeah, it's true. So, but at least once in the day of Brahma, he's coming. It's still right. But of course, after the day of Brahma, there will be a night which lasts just as long. It's correct. And then comes the next day of Brahma, and then he's again coming. Yeah. So if you want to join, Krishna's earthly lila, you have to be patient. But you see, there is a way to escape the waiting, and that is because Krishna has his lila chakra, and that means like transcendental you can say, wheel, a tournament. Yeah.
Also, I don't want to destroy the whole pacing of Bhagavad-Gita, but doesn't he also say he is wherever his devotees are also?
Yeah. But that's more indirectly. Yeah. You can just look at Krishna's name and he's there, right? There's a difference still when he's coming in his Leela. There is a reason why all the devotees are aspiring to get a role, however insignificant, in his Leela. It's like a great audition for a great Hollywood movie, right? So say it was such a great movie and everybody wants to participate. Say if Hollywood, I'm sure they will at one point make the Mahabharata, right? And then even devotees would like to play even a small role, right? So then everybody would line up and thousands and thousands of people, yeah. But only a few people will actually be selected, yeah. So it's the same thing with Krishna's Leelas. You have to stand in the queue, and hope to be selected to take part, yeah. So
everyone can just make a play and play their role.
No, that's the point. It's not working like that's what the Mayavadis think, that you can just do your own thing. No, you have to be picked up. Somebody has to pick you up and accept you and train you up, and then you can play that role. Yeah, only then. It's only by mercy of the Guru. Yeah. So any Tom, Dick and Harry, they cannot, Then you are like, this guy, who wanted to become a disciple of Dronacharya, and he was training, to shoot a bow and arrow. And then, he wasn't accepted, by Dronacharya, but then by his own, he was shooting bow and arrow, and he kept even a murti, he made even a statue of Dronacharya for his own self in the forest. And then, one time, the Pandavas, they met him.
Yes.
And then, he was there and like that. And he was really good at shooting bow and arrow. He was amazing. So then they brought Dronacharya. Look at this great person. Huh? Yeah.
Arjuna became really jealous.
Yeah. You remember the name? I forgot his name. But anyway.
No, I cannot remember.
But the point is that, he was so amazing good. But Dronacharya came and he asked, can you give me, okay, so you say I'm your guru, give me the guru dakshina. Okay, yeah, sure, I can give you whatever you like. Give me your thumb, your right thumb. Without the right thumb, you will not be able to shoot a bow and arrow. Immediately he just cut it off and gave it to him. But this story is showing that, we have to, if we're going to get the mercy of Guru, we have to go through the prescribed protocol. Yeah. So Krishna, yeah.
You can still see a lot of devotion from this person, and I think if he had kept Krishna Murti first, somehow wouldn't Krishna reciprocate something?
Yeah, but it depends. Krishna, he likes that we are serving his devotees.
Yes.
This is like this very fine, it's like a very fine balance. So Krishna, he just takes the attitude, Bhavagrahi. He just takes the attitude. He doesn't take, the external result. So in that way, he's just tuning in, and seeing how is it going. And if he's not satisfied, he will make some obstacle. Yeah.
It's a blessing also, isn't it?
Of course, it gives us more purification. Yeah. And still he's always ready to give us a smile, even though he may blast us. Still he will tell you, I still love you. He will tell you,
Yeah.
So it's not, so it's not, it's not, depressive. It's like we're just getting a clue and we can continue. Yeah. So Krishna has this lila chakra going from one universe to another. So in that way, the devotees can join, Krishna's pastimes in a universe where it is going on right now. Yeah.
And I would also imagine that since Krishna can expand also, it can happen in multiple places.
Yeah, he is expanding himself. Everything is possible. But anyway, this is the version I heard from Prabhupada. That he's just going from universe to universe. He has his lila here, and then he goes to the next universe, have it there, and then he goes to the next one. So in that way, devotees can join at any time his lila. It's always going on in that way. Does it make sense?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's good. So we move on. So Prabhupada says in the purport here, he therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of religiosity and a disappearance of true religion. Principle of religion are laid down in the Vedas. This is what I explained before. Were you here when we talked about that? The 4 Vedas only, that is immovable religion. That's like cast in stone. They never changes. But the Smriti, the Puranas are like that. They're always changed according to time and place and language and like that. They're updated. So, but the 4 Vedas are always what everybody's coming back to. Everything is dependent on this. Yeah. So any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the roots of Vedas make one religious. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. So here I want to come with a quote. It said there, this is actually it's at the Yamarasha's court. Yamarasha is the Lord of religion. So there it is said, Dharma Sakshad. I forgot the rest, but it says Vishnu is giving the Dharma directly. All religion is coming directly from Vishnu. So the Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma from within his heart. Yeah. So the explanation is that you have then Brahma is getting it from his heart and he's speaking from each of his head. He's speaking one Veda. Does it make sense? Speak the Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atar Veda from each of his heads.
I guess it makes sense, but I heard also accounts where Brahma has different amounts of heads. So are there 7 Vedas in some universes?
Well, I don't know about that one.
Oh, I would think so, because Vyasadeva decided to compile the Vedas. He actually split them in a particular way.
Yeah.
But there's multiple ways to divide them, I guess.
Yeah. There may be differences from each universe. We don't actually know. There may be,
No, but the Veda is the same, but you can also split it and compile it differently, I guess.
I don't know. I think this split into 4 is quite standard. But anyway,
Okay, so Brahma usually has 4
yeah,
heads.
because you see, you have the whole Vedic system is built upon this 4 number, yeah. Because you have 4 people who take care. When you have a sacrifice, this whole Vedic system is meant for like the old style Vedic sacrifice, where you have a fire, yeah. And so you have
Your statements also need to coincide with each other, because you said Brahma has amount of heads that are equal to one Veda each.
Yeah. So what's the problem?
It's also significant in looking at the created universe.
Yeah. So in our reference is that he has 4 heads. I don't have seen anywhere that he has more heads actually.
Oh, I've heard accounts, but this is our Brahma. But in different universes, I thought I heard accounts that there can be Brahmas with 7 or different other kinds of other amounts.
Okay, but in case there is that, we cannot do much about that. So I think we just keep to our universe for now.
Yeah, that's okay. But it will actually give some insight into our universe and also other universes, just to draw references and connections with physics.
Yeah, I think maybe you can get into that, but I cannot see, and I cannot see any more references for this. So that's why I don't feel like going more into that. So anyway, the Brahma we have here, he's doing quite fine with his 4 heads. So
you said also you had 5, but Shiva cut off the 1, the 5th.
Yeah. So you see, he was only meant to have 4.
Well, it was He got chastised.
Yeah, okay, here's my quote actually, which I was looking for. It says here, therefore the principles of Dharma or religion are the direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here's a quote from Dharmaraj. Dharmam tu shakshat bhagavat pranitam. He said that Dharma is directly spoken by Bhagavan, by Lord himself. Yeah.
That's Krishna, right? That's not Brahma.
No, that's the point. It's spoken by Bhagavan. He said in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam that Janmadhyasya tan vayadi taratash chachesha bigyasvarat tene brahma ridaya adikavaye. He said that the Vedas were coming directly in the heart of Lord Brahma. So we're given by Vishnu in the heart of Lord Brahma. In that way he got the Vedas. And then he was speaking out of his four heads to his four disciples. Each disciple took care of one Veda.
Okay, like they delegated the responsibility into four. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And very easy then to just apply it to different universes. If you have like 5 suns, you can have 5 heads, I guess, then it would make perfect sense also.
Yeah, it all makes perfect sense. And Brahma, he is not alone up there. He has, all the personified energies are there actually. It's like they're like there to serve him. So there is some description of Brahma Loka. He's having everything under his control. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, so now we're on your favorite verse, text 8. You like to read?
Sure. Paritranaya sadunam. I'm gonna find it on the.
Yeah.
Paritranaya sadunam. Vinashaya cha duskirtam dharma samsthapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Translation: to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Purport: according to Bhagavad-Gita, a sadhu, holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualifications of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. And duskirtam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants or duskirtam are described as foolish and the lowest of mankind, even though they may be decorated with mundane education. Whereas a person who is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as a sadhu, even though such a person may be neither learned nor well-cultured. As far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demons Ravana and Kamsa. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons, but the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees, who are always harassed by the demoniac. The demon harasses the devotee, even though the latter may happen to be his kin. Although Prahlad Maharaj was the son of Hiranyakashipu, he was nonetheless persecuted by his father. Although Devaki, the mother of Krishna, was the sister of Kamsa, she and her husband Vasudeva were persecuted only because Krishna was to be born of them. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than kill Kamsa, but both were performed simultaneously. Therefore it is said here that to deliver the devotee and vanquish the demon miscreants, the Lord appears in his different incarnations.
Okay, stop there. Yeah. So as you can see, the devotees are sometimes getting a hard time. Yeah. Because otherwise there wouldn't be a Leela, right?
Well, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, in one sense, it is, it's also symbolizing. It's also symbolizing. Yeah.
Also a particular Leela. So.
Yeah. It's just. No, but the Lord has unlimited leelas also.
Yeah.
And in some leelas, it just happens to be that the devotees are going through hardships. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the same.
What?
A little bit, maybe.
The same as?
One Leela with a villain is like Savior Leela, where Krishna appears as Savior, or even a devotee can appear to Saint Krishna. But there are different Leelas,
Yes. So the Leelas with Krishna in the spiritual world, they are very, very sweet. And there is no fighting.
Yeah.
There is no fighting there. That is to be.
In Dharma Leela, even Krishna is kind of a villain.
Yeah. This is a parental Leela. But the Madhurya Leela itself, the highest Leela, is very sweet. There is no violence there. And that's actually where the devotees are aspiring to go. Yeah. But these demons, they also symbolize, the demons in our heart, which Krishna is killing. So in that way, we get some assurance, Actually, I want to read the last paragraph in this purport, where Prabhupada is describing, the different kinds of avatars. I'll scroll onto that. Yeah. So I'll read that. There are various kinds of avatars, such as Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Lila avatars, Shakti Avesha avatars, Manvantara avatars, and Yuga avatars, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. Lord Shri Krishna descends for a specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees, who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of the Krishna avatar is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. So see, this is specifically for the Vrindavan, pastimes.
The origin of this word unalloyed? Unalloyed?
Huh?
Unalloyed devotees.
Yeah, what does it mean?
An alloy is like a mixture of different metals.
Yeah, so it means... I heard the story actually that Prabhupada heard that word. He was by a goldsmith. And the goldsmith, he sells sometimes unalloyed gold. Means pure gold. It's pure.
It's pure, yeah.
Yeah, but usual gold, you know how it is in India, right? They just mix up everything to earn money, So the gold was also mixed. Yeah, so the gold they were selling was melted together with some other metals. It was not pure gold, right?
He also said you can mix. Prabhupada was quite a chemist. He said you can mix a bunch of different metals like tin and copper and nickel and make gold.
No, but that's alchemy. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Then you have to apply a very specific process. But anyway, this is kind of this is something from the past. It was a mystical process. So anyway,
yeah. There's also some magical things involved, isn't it?
I was just thinking, some magic involved there. But anyway, I was thinking we could just list these different avatars,
Yeah.
So let's go through them, and by the mercy of the Lord, let's see if we can be able to sort them out. So let's start with Purusha avatars. So they are the three Purushas. And the three Purushas is Karana Dokashayo, Vishnu. It's the three who make sure that we're landing here in the material world. First you have Karana Dokashayo Vishnu. It's the same as Mahavishnu. Vishnu who breathes out the universe. And then you have, the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu.
Is that the little Vishnu with Lakshmi on the ocean?
Yeah, so that's Garbhodakashaya. He's the Vishnu who is inside each universe. In each universe, from navel, Lord Brahma is born, yeah? Yeah, like that. So you have Lord Brahma born from his navel. Yeah, and then the next one is Kshirodakashaya. Yeah, so that is enters every heart. Yeah, as Paramatma. Yeah. Okay, and then we have guna avatars. So there we start with guna. I mean, you know that. Yeah? What is the first guna? Sattva guna. Yeah. So who is the guna avatar for Sattva guna? Vishnu. Yeah. Vishnu, he is the maintainer of the universe. Yeah. And then the next one. So is Rajas. Yeah. Who is the Rajaguna avatar? Huh? Lord Brahma. Yeah. Brahma. He's the creator. Yeah. Of the universe. And then guess who is the one in charge of Tamaguna?
Shiva.
Yes. And what does he do? Very great job.
He annihilates.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I wrote creator. He's the destroyer.
He's creator of something also.
Well, he actually is doing a little bit of everything, but he's most famous for destroying. Yeah.
He's like not very much possession, I guess, doing meditation, being little detached.
Yeah.
I wanted to call him by his name as the blue-necked one, but I couldn't remember the Sanskrit.
Yeah. The blue-necked one. Yeah. That's an epithet of Lord Shiva because he was swallowing the ocean of poison.
Yeah.
It's a Kanta. Kanta means Lakshmi Kanta. I don't remember now. It's a Kanta. It's something with Kanta. His Kanta is blue. Nila Kanta. Yeah, Nila Kanta. Nila means this. It's actually the same color as Krishna. Even Krishna is also called Nila in his skin color. So another name of Shiva is Nila Kanta. Bluish neck. I mean throat. Yeah. Okay, so Lila Avataras. Can you help me? Who are the Lila Avataras? That's for each. Wait. Yeah, I just want to make sure these are for each. Well, actually, no, it's true. Yeah, it's just like you can say for fun. Fun avatar is usually animals. Yeah. So Narasimha. Yeah. Some more. Matsya is another one. Huh? Kurma. Yeah. Yeah.
Altså, er det Bali-lilla?
Huh?
Bali-lilla?
The Bali Lila. Maybe. I'm not so sure.
The dwarf.
Yeah, the dwarf. Yeah. Okay. Kurma is the tortoise. Yeah, probably this is also Lila avatar. Yeah. So then we go to Shakti Avesha avatars. So what does it mean, Shakti Avesha? It means somebody has gotten specific power.
That's like Danny.
Huh? That's jivas actually. It's beings such as us, but who has been. Yeah. So this is one example is Narada Muni. Yeah. He has bhakti. He's a bhakti avesha. He's got bhakti avesha. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you have another one. It's said it's Rishabhadev. Rishabhadev. This person who was the great king. And he gave very, very great instructions in the Bhagavatam, and then later he's just renouncing his kingdom and is appearing like a complete avaduta. Yeah, you know the story?
I cannot pinpoint it just going off that. I think you need to specify a little more.
Yeah, it's said, he was so amazing. I mean, pardon my language, but it's glorification of the Lord in this. He was so avadut that he didn't care. Even usually a king, when he is leaving the kingdom for Vanaprastha, he goes out in the night so nobody can see him, right? And he start dressing, with rags and like that, and he just go and meditates, forgetting, perfection. But this king Rishabha, when he took Vanaprastha, he just did it. He started already when he was inside the kingdom, so everybody could see he just turned mad in front of them. You can say, but he was just full of bhakti ecstasy, so nobody could understand what he was doing. And then he also went outside the kingdom. He did just walk around, like that, and he even rolled in his own, stool, and it was smelling like roses. Yeah. So he was completely out of it, completely 100% transcendence. He didn't care about nothing on that level. He was transcendental, siddha. Yeah.
I don't think I've heard this story.
Well, it's there in the Bhagavatam. Yeah. So that's he has the Raja Avesha. Yeah. He was the incarnation of the Raja potency of Lord. Yeah.
But can you what does Avesha actually specifically mean?
Well, it's something about that you're endowed with something. You got some shakti from somebody. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like
energy, right?
yeah. So Shakti Avesha means you've been endowed with some specific shakti, or I think you even can use the word from Christianity. They say anointed. There is a thing in Christianity about oil and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they have the thing about being anointed. So this is similar. To have Shakti Avesha means you've been anointed with specific power. Yep. In Christianity they call it to be the chosen one. Yeah.
I was leaning or feeling more attachment to the word bestowed.
Yeah.
Sufficiently.
Yeah. So I just write, chosen ones. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anointed. with God's power, yeah.
Yeah.
In a specific field.
And I was also thinking for some reason Agni and Indra and these gods, but maybe it's not.
Well, they are in a different category. They're not to be listed here. They are devatas. They're demigods. Now we're talking about avatars. Yeah.
But they're also bestowed, I guess.
100%. They're actually part. They're part of the Lord's universal body. Actually,
Okay.
the universe wouldn't function without these gods.
All right.
We can talk about that another time. How the whole universe is composed of these different demigods. So anyway, now we go over to Manvantara avatars. So these are for each Manu. So each Manu, how long was it lasting? Something like circa 306 million years. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of years.
Yeah. So you don't want to be a Manu unless you love your job. It's going to be a long time.
But the Manus were living on Earth, right?
No, that's what I mentioned. They don't live on Earth. The current Manu who is living in Ramyakavarsha, you see, they're not living on Earth. Yeah, I just write it. Not living. Yeah.
Because they're the sons of the sun, the sons of the sun god, right?
Yeah, but on separate. Huh?
They're from the sun god lineage.
Yeah, that's true. So even the next Manu after this, huh?
Progenitors of mankind?
Yes. It's a fathers of mankind.
Yes, but they're not living on Earth.
No.
Do they descend sometimes, or?
It's just like you can say, the president of America, he's not living in a normal flat in the city.
No,
He's living in a specific house.
He's like an American citizen.
I'm just trying to make so we can understand. He's living in a specific place. It's like he's kind of on a higher level. He's not affected by. So in that way, Manu is living in a different Varsha. He's not affected by even the yugas. You understand?
Okay. But the president is affected essentially.
Yeah.
by all that.
Every analogy you take will not be completely correct, but it's just used to kind of give you an idea. That's all. So he's not affected by by yugas, etc. Yeah. Okay. So enough said. But the thing is that for each change of Manu, there are specific avatars also. Yeah. To help Manu. Yeah. But anyway, this is connected with So in that sense, they are connected with his specific situation. I don't know more than that. Yeah. Huh?
I'm just thinking, how do we apply this to our bhakti?
Well, you don't. This is just to get an idea of how the universe is working. It's just technical, you can say, but still, you can get some reverence for the Lord that He has this huge system in place, right? Which is mind blowing. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on that we don't know, right? From very remotely, He's controlling what's going on here, right? So that gives us just some idea how He has a great system, and we would be happy just to chant His holy name, since He has given assurance. If He can control, if He can control a Manu who is sitting nicely in a place, outside Earth, controlling whole humankind, He knows what He's doing. That's the idea. So if He says that chanting His holy name is good, we can trust that, right?
Yeah.
And He comes in each yuga. That's the last one, Yuga Avatars. So then we have Satya Yuga. So who is coming in Satya Yuga? He's coming as I have to try and remember this. And then he comes in Treta. Yeah, now I remember. So in Satya Yuga he comes. This is a different, it's different for each yuga. But the account I heard for this yuga cycle we are in now, he came as Hamsa Avatara. It's a swan incarnation.
Yeah, I thought these avatars, the yuga avatars, have their own color.
Yeah, so he has color. Color. He's white. He's white. Yeah. Yeah. And Treta Yuga, he comes as Yagya personified.
So probably a red avatar.
He's a Lord of Sacrifice. Yeah. And then he has red color, of course. It's like in the fire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Vishnu is sometimes referred to as Lord of Sacrifice, isn't it?
Yeah, because all avatars are essentially incarnations of Vishnu.
I see, it's so complicated because sometimes it's like
that's the point.
And sometimes it's
all the incarnations are incarnations of Vishnu, except Krishna, because when Krishna comes, he's Swayam Bhagavan. So he's technical. Yeah.
It's kind of like a hierarchy tree because Vishnu is expansion of little after Balaram somewhere, right?
Yes. So first you have Krishna and then you have Balaram. So Balaram is then expanding as the four. I forgot what they're called. So then you have Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. That's expanded from Balaram. And from there you have another expansion of the four, and then from there again you get the three Vishnus. The Purusha avatars, and then they are in the material world, and then Vishnu in the material world, he's expanding all these different avatars. And so all of them are originally actually Balaram's expansions. So in that way, Krishna is just happily, frolicking in Goloka Vrindavan. Yeah.
It's so much easier to understand this whole situation as just the people, but the details about the expansions and all the relations between the expansions, it's like a little complicated.
It's very complicated, and this is just the beginning. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
It's like introduction course to Bhakti Shastra.
Yeah. So then Dvapara Yuga, who is coming there? Well, big surprise. It's Krishna. And now I write it again, unless we have sleeping in the class. Is Swayam Bhagavan. Bhagavan in person. Yeah.
But is it every Treta Yuga?
No, that's the point. It's only in this Dwapara Yuga, once in the day of Brahma. So out of 1,000 Yuga cycles, only in this one he's coming.
But is it like a common thing that in the Treta Yuga, it's like a speciality of that Yuga that there is like you look more closely to Krishna?
I don't know about that. What did you say about Treta Yuga?
That particular Yuga, I know this is a rare case. This is one out of 1,000 Yuga cases where Krishna comes personally.
Yeah.
But are the other Treta Yugas, are they also significant in terms of that Krishna is coming personally in the Treta Yuga specifically?
Well, I don't know about that. He's reported to only come in Dwapara Yuga, in the end of Dwapara Yuga, in this specific Krishna Lila. And in each time he comes, there will be a Vyasadev there. There will be, the whole Pandavas will be there. Duryodhan will be there. You will have the fight on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. You have the Mahabharata will be there. It's all around the Mahabharata and all these things. And you will have Vrindavan. All the same things will be there. Same show, yeah.
All right.
So just to give you a clue, in the scriptures, there is given hints. There is talked about Krishna even before 5,000 years before. It's like millions of years ago, even in the scriptures, was talked about Krishna's pastimes. So the sages they knew what was expecting them. So when Krishna came, they already was ready to see his pastimes, which they already knew. Okay.
They were getting hyped up.
Yeah, because they already had read the scriptures. They're already described from previous times. Yeah, and I just want to make the last point here before we round off, that in Kali Yuga he comes as Chaitanya. And if you see on YouTube, I wrote in the parentheses, it's also Bhagavan in person. And now he's golden. So he's actually...
I thought Chaitanya was an even more rare incarnation than Krishna.
Well, it said that whenever Krishna is coming in person, then also Chaitanya is coming in the Yuga after, also as Bhagavan in person.
I also heard that, but I heard multiple accounts, I guess.
Yeah, but now, say in the next Yuga cycle, okay? Then you will have, I will write that here, okay? Next Yuga cycle. Yeah, so then I will not write what's happening in Satyatra, I don't know, but I just checked out Krishna. So he said, then Krishna will come as an expansion, not Swayam.
Is in the final Yuga avatar, or he doesn't incarnate to no, he ends the cycle, right? That's Kalki.
Kalki, oh yeah, that's true, yeah. Actually, what is Kalki? I wonder, is Kalki if is that a Yuga avatar, or how is that one? Kalki, I think Kalki may be a Leela avatar, actually. I wonder if Kalki is a Leela avatar.
But he's completely connected to the Yuga, though.
Yeah, it's true, yeah. Well, it beats me.
Like yeah. Maybe he can be multiple, I guess.
I guess so, yeah. Just like I'm also not sure about Vamana, if he's a Leela avatar or not. So anyway.
I thought they all were Leela avatars in some sense.
In one sense, but anyway, there is made this, whole system here. So then also next Yuga cycle, then in Kali Yuga will be an avatara to propagate holy name. Yeah. Full stop. Yeah, it's just an avatar to propagate holy name. Full stop. It will not be Swayam Bhagavan himself. Okay. So you will get the whole name also in the next Yuga cycle, but it won't be, Swayam Bhagavan in person. Yeah, that's the explanation we are getting from our Gaudiya Vaishnava lineage. Yeah, our acharyas, from the past has explained it like this. Yeah.
It must be a really rare case, because so rare is it that Krishna actually comes. So it must be a lot of pious people on this planet right now.
Yeah.
To have this opportunity.
They are. So in that way, these are pious people who didn't squander their piety for other things. They just store them up so that they have enough credits now to welcome the Lord, right? They could have used these pious credits to go to heavenly planets, or fulfill some other desire. But instead they just kept on doing tapasya, they stored them up and kept on worshipping Krishna just to wait until, even now, into the grueling Kali Yuga. There may be devotees who actually want to be here to do this specific service.
Yeah.
And just imagine the devotees who are there to welcome when Kalki avatar is coming. In the end of Kali Yuga, then you will have reduced, to dwarfs. Maximum 27 years old, and even, not looking very good, not even smelling good. Yeah. So still are some devotees waiting,
Yeah, sure.
But they will be specific devotees of Kalki avatar. Yeah, I guess. And
going to the movies also, like, we're gonna watch the Kalki incarnation next Yuga or something. Yeah, I want to join the incarnation.
So devotees are very special. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they get a very great bonus, because these devotees, it's explained in the Kalki Purana. I was reading that. It said, Kalki is coming, yeah, and he's chopping, all the demons. But that's also mentioned in the Bhagavatam. There are some people there who are not demons; they are devotees, and they have the tilak on the forehead. So he will not kill them, of course. He will just protect them, and then Satya Yuga personified, he will come along, and he will help Kalki to kill Kali Yuga, because Kali is hiding, But the story goes on. Yeah, they're chasing Kali, to get rid of him. And it's explained that actually they think they killed him, or it looks like he was killed. But actually some or other Kali, he escaped. His soul escaped, So he's just some or other hiding. Yeah, and Kali, he will be hiding all the time. He's still alive. He will still be alive, but he's just hiding until the next Kali Yuga. Then he will again come out,
Yeah, Richard will give him a shelter at some place in the gold or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just like happened. So in any way, so then it's like the change of scene. It's like in the theater, you take, the, what do you call this? Which is in front of the altar, to cover the altar. What do you call that?
Oh, curtain.
Curtain, yeah. And then when they open the curtain again, it's like it's going to be a big inundation and like that. Maybe not actually. Sometimes they say this is an inundation, sometimes not. But anyway, some or other the devotees, they will survive, and then they will overlap over into the next Satya Yuga, where everything will be very heavenly, completely heavenly. Then it will be nice nature, everything good. The air will be fresh to breathe. Everything will be good again. Yeah. And in the end of Kali Yuga, the pollution will be terrible. Everything will just be completely ridiculously bad. But after this, but after this change of scene, we are back to long life. Everybody will live until 100,000 years, and people will look great. Their health will be great mentally, and everything. So they just will naturally sit down and do yoga, as the most easy thing in the world, for years and years. And there will be free interaction between the demigods and the humans. Actually, they will be similar. Humans and demigods will actually be the same. Yeah.
They're really powerful brahmanas, probably.
Yeah, that's the point. At that time, what the brahmanas said, it will actually happen. And they will even make laws. The brahmanas, just by their utterances, they will be made laws.
You feel like I can almost not imagine any other way to really do bhakti in that yuga when there's so powerful magical ability and Brahminical ability. What are they going to do? They're going to sit and have darshan with the Paramatma in the heart.
Yeah, so in that way there's a lot of mysticism going on in that yuga. There is free travel between the different areas of the universe. So everything is pretty chill. But then, as I explained before, the first awkwardness is creeping up, because after all we are still in the material world, and that is
It was through the eating process.
Yeah, they're eating too much, enjoying too much,
Yeah.
and out of that comes greed, and out of the greed comes jealousy, and because of jealousy it then turns into enviousness, actually hatred, and then the first disease is born. It's not born before in the Treta Yuga, but then it manifests as fever. And in that way, they have to pack up their yoga system, also. They can't do yoga anymore because it doesn't work as good as before. So then they have to do fire sacrifices in Treta Yuga. So then Lord is incarnating, as Yagya personified, to just show them this is how how it works. And in that way, you get the four Vedas are really put into play, with the different kinds of priests, and they have to say the mantras perfectly and all these things. But they have to actually do all that because they became a little sinful. That's why they have to now work harder. That's the explanation. Before, when nobody was sinful, everybody was just fine with each other and not greedy, not jealous, nothing. Then everybody was just peacefully sitting and meditating. Yeah. So just look now, how technically everything is very, very complicated. It's because of all these bad qualities that we're very bound up by all these things. There's no other explanation, actually. It's just a sinful reaction. Yeah. But the devotees, they can still, exist there and be happy. Yeah?
Because this particular ability that man has in this age, it's like the perfect opportunity to enjoy this Vrindavan Lila.
Yep.
Where we're just, able to work a little simple work and relax and eat some fruits or whatever and milk some cows and, do manual labor and really not too much Brahminical magic and yoga and stuff.
No, it's like Vaishyas. Yeah.
Yeah, Vaishya, yeah.
The whole Vrindavans are Vaishya people, yeah. So in that way, it's kind of it's possible for us, because in Kali Yuga we're all Shudras. So we cannot be Brahmanas, we cannot be Kshatriyas, but we may have a small chance to become cowherds, Vaishyas.
Yeah.
There's still scope for that, because it's said in Kali Yuga there will be mostly Shudras, but a few Vaishyas. Yeah. So in that way, that's why whole Iskcon Prabhupada wanted, we should have farm communities. That's the best, because with that you recreate the atmosphere of Vrindavan very easily, and you can have nice sweetness there, peaceful and nice.
These people at Alvik, they're so calm and relaxed, and they're so happy inside. You can feel it.
Exactly. So the process really works.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, really, really. Definitely.
Yeah. So and then when you have that thing down, you have peaceful life. Then you have some extra time. Then you can study the scriptures, and then you can, figure out everything, and you can preach also. Yeah. So I think we did we read every. Oh, sorry, we have one more verse left. I'll just finish this 9th verse, and we go. You want to read it?
Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvata tyaktva deham punar janma. Naiti mam etiso Arjuna. Etiso Arjuna.
Yeah, correct.
One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Purport. The Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting the present material body.
Yeah, thank you so much. So this utterance by Prabhupada is very good, right? Because this is really saying you only need to understand this, right? That's the only thing we need to do. We just need to understand this truth. So, in other words, if we can just do our study, and ask questions, from people we trust who have more knowledge, we can have connection with Guru like this. We can actually get the pure understanding, the pure transcendental knowledge. Then we are able actually to quit this material body in return back to God. I mean, to quit the material body, then the idea is that we don't want to have another birth in the material world. Yeah. So you can read on.
The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti of the Lord, is only partial, and there's the risk of returning to this material world. But but the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not run the risk of returning to this material world. In the Brahma Samhita 533, it is stated that the Lord has many, many forms and incarnations. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, they are still one and the same, Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction, although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers. As stated in the Vedas, Purusha Bodhini Upanishad, Eko Devo Nitya Lilanurakto Bhakta Vyapi Riddhi Antar Atma. The one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many... Turn the page.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
Engaged in many, many transcendental forms in relationships with his unalloyed devotees. His Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of the Gita personally by the Lord.
Thank you. You stop there. Stop there. Yeah. So here you have, Prabhupada is saying as stated in the Vedas. And then he's mentioning an Upanishad. So just so we're clear on that, all the Upanishads, they are also what we call Vedas. So you have the four Vedas, and then he said that part of the four Vedas are the Samhitas, Brahmanas, Aryanakas, and Upanishads. There's like four parts. Samhita is the Veda itself, you can say. The Rig Veda Samhita, and then you have, for example, then an Upanishad which belongs to the Rig Veda is the Chandogya Upanishad. Is it true? I'm not sure now, but anyway, there is one Upanishad which belongs to the Rig Veda. So in that way, the Purusha Bodhini Upanishad has to belong to one of the four Vedas. Yeah. And then Prabhupada says this Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of the Gita personally by the Lord. So what did the verse say? Let's say, go scroll back. Janma karma chame divyam evam yogati tatvata. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. And then this verse from the Upanishad said, the one Supreme Personality of God is eternally engaged in many, many transcendental forms in relationship with his unalloyed devotees. So you can say it says the same thing because it says, Janma karma chame divyam. It says that the Lord, for each of his appearances here, he has a so-called birth and he has karma. So here, of course, karma doesn't mean good karma or bad karma. It means work, activities. Yeah, it doesn't mean work also. It just means his actions. Yeah, his pastimes actually. Here it means actually Krishna's leelas, his karmas. Yeah, yeah. So then Prabhupada says in the purport here, he who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculations, attains the highest perfectional state of liberation. Simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can without a doubt attain liberation. The Vedic version Tattvam Asi is actually applied in this case. Yeah, so this is also a thing. Tattvamasi, you heard about that one before?
No.
Yeah.
Tattva, I know.
Yeah, so Tattvamasi is actually I mentioned Chandogya Upanishad. I'll just check up on that. I think that's a part of the. I think that's part of the Rig Veda, but I'll just confirm it. Let's see. No, it belongs to the Sama Veda. Yeah. Sama Veda. Yeah. So yeah. So the Chandogya Upanishad, it has this. It's called Mahavakya. It's a great utterance. What's the Mahavakya of Chandogya Upanishad? It is Tat Tvam Asi. It means you are that. Yeah. Or that you are. Yeah. And of course the Mayavadis, they will say, what will the Mayavadis say? Mayavadis. Or let's just... Or let's just say Advaita Vedantists. They will say that it means you are Brahman. Yeah. But the devotees will say, Gaudyas. What will the Gaudyas say? They will say,
Advaita.
yeah, Advaita, yeah, double up, yeah.
Is that the correct word?
Huh?
We are separable and inseparable.
Yeah, I mean we're both, Achinta Beda Beda Tattva. So actually, they will say, that you are of that, yeah. You are of that supreme, Lord. Yeah.
I think we can just glorify them, say, yeah, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. They will say, Advaita Vedanti will say, you are Brahman, directly. And then Gaudyas will say, you are that supreme, you are of that supreme Lord. Part of, Brahman. Yeah. So
we can even say you are, just not to step on the toes or anything.
Yeah, we can also say we also say we are Brahman. Is the other Mahavakya of impersonalists is Aham Brahmasmi.
Okay.
Yeah. So Aham Brahmasmi, it means I am Brahman. So it applies the same thing again. So Advaitas, they will say, they will say the same thing. They will say, I'm Brahman. Yeah, they will not change that. They will say, fully.
Yeah.
But then the devotees will say, they will say, Achinta Beda Beda Tata. They will say, I am Brahman. And individually and individual as well, yeah. And the person and an individual person as well, yeah.
There is really no wonder that the people are getting completely bewildered by this, because it is so difficult to try and grasp it, this conception of individual identity.
Yeah, it will happen, the more we actually continue to understand it. It's actually not that difficult.
No, it's just getting used to the concept, because in searching out in the search of a sadhu, it's like you try to find simpler and simpler truths, and I guess you get used to it.
Yeah, so the thing is that The whole concept, of Vedic knowledge, transcendence, it just has to land kind of in our heart.
Yeah.
So we just have to spend enough years and time with all this stuff, and then at one point it will kind of land, and we will kind of
recognizing it.
it's something like learning. It's something like learning, language. They say, theory of learning language. Yeah.
In the start, you think it's completely you cannot overcome this, and then after a while, you learn some words.
Yeah, it's said, it's said that you acquire the language. Yeah.
It's like almost experimental knowledge or empirical knowledge, but it's
just as the theory of learning language. Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. So in that way, in the same way, similarly for spiritual life, for KC, you can say for Krishna consciousness, you just acquire it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it will take some time before that happens. All these things where they say you can learn a language in 7 days, it's not really working like that. One has to just acquire it. Anyway, so Prabhupada says, anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, you are the same Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection, and this is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion. So here we have another Upanishadic assertion. Tam eva viditvani mrityumeti nanyaha panta vidyate ayanaya. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfection. Yeah. So tam eva viditvanti, so by knowing tam, by knowing him, it's very often used as tat or tam like that. It means that supreme absolute truth. Then mrityum eti, you can you can viditvati mrityum eti, you can surpass the death. Yeah. Na anyapanta, there is no other way than this. Yeah. You need to have knowledge of the Lord, otherwise you cannot really surpass death. Yeah. Okay, so then Prabhupada says in the end here that there is no alternative means that anyone who does not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance, and consequently he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of the bottle of honey, or by interpreting the Bhagavad-Gita according to mundane scholarship. Yeah. So it's the analogy of you want to know what honey tastes. I can try and explain to you in a million ways, and you can even try to lick outside the bottle. But if you really want to understand and have full realization of how honey tastes, you have to open the bottle, take your finger in, put the finger in the mouth, and actually taste it. Right?
It was kind of funny because on the stereotype honey bottle, there's a lot of honey on the side of the bottle, also on the outside. But
yes, sometimes the honey is spilled on the side. So that's when the devotees are going out on Harinam and distribute the prasadam. They're sharing, And in that way, people can join in and dance in the Harinam, and they can actually get some of the honey that's spilled outside the bottle. But then, in order to actually get more of the taste, they have to go to the practice themselves. Find a guru, start practice.
Literally opening the bottle and just distributing honey.
For free.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, they have to eat it themselves.
Oh, yes, you can bring a horse to water. Can't make it drink.
Exactly. So there are always this very point there. So Prabhupada is saying here that such empiric philosophers may assume very important roles in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed up mundane scholars have to wait for the causeless mercy of the devotees of the Lord. Yeah. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. Yeah. Actually, I said it was verse 1 to 10, so I have to read one more verse. So it says, Vita raga bhaya krodha man maya mamupashritaha bhavo jnana tapasa putamat bhavam agata. Being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So then Prabhupada says, as described above, it is very difficult for a person who is too materially affected to understand the personal nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. So here Prabhupada is explaining actually about three different persons. Yeah, there is this person who has attachment. Yeah, I'll just do this quick so everybody can understand quickly. And then is a person who has the problem of fear. Yeah. And then you have the last one who has a problem of anger. Yeah?
These are all the same problem, though, aren't they? It's just like sub-branches of the same issue.
Well, in one sense, you can say it's all coming from avidya, from ignorance, from impersonalism. But still, Prabhupada is talking different about them here. He says, some people are too material attached and therefore do not give attention to spiritual life. Some of them want to merge into the supreme spiritual cause. And some of them disbelieving in everything, being angry at all sorts of spiritual speculation out of hopelessness. Yeah.
Yes, I
know. So in that way, but attachment is said to be by acharyas. It said attachment. That's the person who is attached to sattva guna. Fear is a person attached to raja guna, and anger is tamaguna. Yeah. So we have to be free from all these three attachments. Yeah, or all three. Yeah, you can say attachment. So sattva is better, in that sense. So in that way, it says, Prabhupada says some people are too material attached and therefore do not give attention to spiritual life. So in that way, they are the least, you can say, sinful or like that. So sattva, not paying attention. Yeah. And Raja is worse, because what are they doing? Let's see what the Prabhupada says here.
No, they don't know what is right and don't know what is wrong.
Yeah, so those who are fearful, they just, yeah. So, anyway, the disgusted or angry, yeah. Being embarrassed, yeah. Yeah. So here you have this in fear, too materially absorbed. Yeah. And in tamagun, those who are angry, what is that? They're like disgusted. Yeah. They're just hopeless. Yeah. Disgusted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that. So all these three we have to give away. So this I will say, most devotees are quite sattvic, right? But do we have a problem? Yes, we do. And what is that? We may be inattentive, right? We have we're still not paying fully attention. We're looking at our phone. We have or we're just daydreaming or whatever.
Yes.
Right. And then at Rajaguna is actually fear. I will flesh out this because it's not fear like that, but it's more like fear of being a person, of being a spiritual person. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'll give an example on that. Too material absorbed. So in Rajaguna, you want to keep up your status in the material society, right? Say for example,
pursue spiritual happiness because you think you will miss out on the other one.
Exactly, and also this fear of missing out. Yeah, I'll write that also.
That is actually, I heard from a lot of people that this is a common thing. It's even a phobia that has been coined the term, the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's exactly called.
Yeah, it's true. It's a term for that now. Yeah, because it has become quite acute. It has become an acute disease now with our phones taking over our life. So you want to know, everybody's sending each other attachments. It's even called attachments, right? Somebody found a nice video and you just have to see it, right? You just feel obliged because otherwise you will not be friend. We think if we don't see the video, then the other person will be sad, right? So that we're using so much time not to miss out, and usually whatever we're getting sent, we could survive nicely without it, right? We would still breathe. It actually doesn't make any big difference in our life. So it's kind of
Yeah, it can. With the right person, it can make a huge difference. It can make it all the difference.
In what way?
Say, if you have, if someone who's your friend, like, you don't think they're Bhagavan or anything, but they just give you so much pleasure, and you share things with them, and they just reciprocate all the time, just more and more, and somehow, like this.
Yeah, but that's good.
So
Yeah. So in that way, it's good. If it can be spiritually, connected somehow, it's very good.
Yeah, it all depends on who you, I guess, try to invite or.
Yeah. So actually, again, it's no problem. We can share and like that spiritual things, but still, on the high level, attention to the whole name itself is very important.
Yeah.
So it's like the core spiritual, thing is the most important. So in that way, still it will be a tendency that devotees are not so much more in Rajaguna. They will not be so attentive to actually the holy name or the scriptures directly, right? To hear about Krishna,
Yes.
hear the whole name, they will kind of. But still, they're in Sattva-guna, so they're very good. But from there we have to go to the transcendence, because in the transcendence, I'll write that here. In the transcendence, we'll have full attention to Krishna. Yeah. So that's the point. Because if you are too attached to Sattva-guna, although you can say that's good, but then we will not have attention to Krishna directly. So it is this thing to actually dive into Krishna himself. It's like when we have kirtan. It's like it's like when we have kirtan. Sometimes we have kirtan, we look out the window or something, but then if we really take the leap and jump into just the kirtan and the mood of the kirtan, then we can enter the transcendence, right? And then you have the people who are in the Tamagun, they're just disgusted when they see the devotees having kirtan, right? They're just angry and frustrated. Yeah.
Yeah, to see the criticism that ever happened.
Yeah. They're full of anger and frustration, so they're just simply disgusted. They won't touch the devotees at all. There are sometimes when we have kirtan, sometimes some people are really angry, right?
Yeah.
So in that way, that's the worst thing, because you can say they really just kind of show dvesha or hate to the whole thing. But actually, usually that is a sign of somebody who actually need help the most.
Yes.
And very often, I've heard stories. Very often, these people who kind of become angry on the devotees in public or something like that, later on they actually start reading the books and they become devotees. So in that way they have their first contact with devotees in that kind of way, but they got out so much emotion in this meeting so that they actually get a lot of purification.
Yeah, but they actually want to try to defeat maybe even the Krishna consciousness, and then they're completely and utterly overwhelmed and defeated, I guess, turned.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because
So-
they're getting Krishna consciousness by just trying to, insult them. They're being Krishna conscious.
Exactly.
Still so pure. So pure.
Yeah. Yeah. So Prabhupada is writing in the end of this purport. We just go to the end. Let's see. Then he's talking about the nine parts. The science of devotional service, consists of the 9 steps. Adau Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Ta Bhajana Kriya Tatu Narta Nivrittishyat Tatu Nishta Ruchis Tata Ata Saktis Tatu Bhavas Tata Prema Byudanchati sadhukana mayam premna pradurbhava bhavetkrama. So it said bhavetkrama, it goes step by step. In the beginning, one must have a preliminary desire for self-realization. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with persons who are spiritually elevated. In the next stage, one becomes initiated by an elevated spiritual master, and under his instruction, the neophyte devotee begins the process of devotional service. By execution of devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, one becomes free from all material attachment, attains steadiness and self-realization, and acquires a taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This taste leads one forward to attachment for Krishna consciousness, which is matured in bhava, or the preliminary stage of transcendental love of God. Real love for God is called prema, the highest perfectional stage of life. So then Prabhupada goes on to say that in the prema stage there is constant engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. And then Prabhupada comes with a very, very nice sentence. See what Prabhupada is saying here. He says, so by the slow process of devotional service. He says it's slow.
Yeah.
It's just to kind of give us a little ease. Because, because otherwise we can be stressed out, Yeah.
Yeah. It's just assuring that Krishna just assures so nicely that it's no progress is lost.
Exactly. So in that way, under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, one can attain the highest stage, being freed from all material attachment. That means from the sattva guna, from the fearfulness of one's individual spiritual personality, that's the rajaguna, and from the frustrations that result in void philosophy, the tamaguna. Then one can ultimately attain to the abode of the Supreme Lord. Jai. So, thank you. So, thank you so much. Any further comments or questions?
No, I think my thoughts right now are moving into the next verse. So
yeah. Thank you for being with me for over 2 hours straight.
Yeah, Jai.
This is our longest. Yeah, this is our longest, streaming in a long time.
Yeah.
So that was a good discussion. So see you next time. I will be online again, on Tuesday.
Okay.
And you asked me if I should have something about cows, right? You remember?
Yeah, if you find something.
Yeah, I think I will try to do that.
Okay.
So let's see if we are able, but at least we'll have something on Tuesday, 6 o'clock, around that time.
Okay. You can just text me if you have a feeling that I'm going to forget it. So.
Sure, I'll do that. Sure.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, bro. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.